Good morning, you guys. I had what I needed. Hang on. I'm doing the hang on, everybody. I can't find what I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Got such good skincare lately that my skin looks amazing. But I don't like that my eyelashes, I actually hate for my eyelashes to sun bleach. So I always wear mascara. It's not really like a vanity thing. Like I don't mind not wearing mascara because, as we all know, I sweat a lot and it kind of runs a little bit, but my eyelashes sun bleach really easy. So I don't know. I've got dark eyebrows and I've got dark roots to my hair, and I don't want white eyelashes and eyebrows. I try to condition them both. So I'm a big fan of this Subversion and Perversion, the duo, so that you have like the conditioner and then you have the actual mascara. So this morning I have quite a bit to say. I'm going to I laid awake last night so angry because after we talked to the CBS lady, you know, we thought it would be good for her to interview us, just because I think both sides to all stories should be told. But she would ask me questions that were really like demeaning, like very demeaning questions. Her name was Ann Werner, and I know that that's her job. I'm not going to scold her for making a living. Like, me scolding her for making her living is no different than people scolding Jacob for the way he makes his living. Like, this lady makes a living off of finding topics that people are highly interested in, villainizing somebody, and getting attention. So I want to tell you the questions she asked, because I will tell you right now that in our conversation, morning, our water department here is absolutely to die for. I wish that we could afford to buy more land in this area, because I would stay over here by Coat Hill Lake. The only problem is to buy enough land to build what we're wanting to build. It would be really expensive because the land is 3 times the price over here what it is where, you know, we bought 120 acres and we could have got like 10 here. So we have 5 acres with a pasture, a 5-stall barn, and our little house. And, you know, I mean, it's cute and I love it. It's just not big enough. But so the one question she asked me was, the people that have spoke to us told us that you and Jacob make a living off the backs of animals, that you're nothing more than animal abusers. And I answered the question, and she said, cut. And she said, I don't like the way this or this was said. And so then she asked me the question again, and then my brain was just like, whoa, I don't know how to answer that question without saying that. So then I told Jacob, I feel like what has happened is every question I answered the way that I would have wanted to answer it was like not appropriate by her standards. And so I ended up just looking stupid, because when somebody asks you a question and you answer it and then they're like, wait, whoa, and then you have to re-answer it, your brain is just like almost caught off guard. And for me it was. I mean, you have to remember, I'm not somebody that does interviews. I'm not somebody that, you know, gets asked questions by the public regularly, like on Johnny on the spot. So I didn't recover well. And I told him they're going to make me look really stupid. And I'm completely aware of this at this point, because the next question she asked was, we talked to a rescue in Covington, and the rescue said that their donations have dropped 80% since you opened Thompson Horse Lot. Does that make you feel guilty? And so I said, you know, no, and I explained why. And then she stopped and she goes, are you sure that you want to say no? Do you want people to have the impression that you don't care? And then, so then she asked me the question again on camera, and I'm going, I don't want people, I don't want people to feel like we don't care, but we're a business, and then she was like, well, what does a business have to do with taking donations from a rescue? Wait a minute, we didn't take their donations. And so I just felt so blindsided. And if you've never had a CBS crew corner you and interview you, I want you to know you're not going to win. You're going to look stupid, because when you answer a question very appropriately in a manner in which you feel satisfied, they're going to go, cut. Now, are you sure? And they make you feel on the spot, and you have to completely come up with a new answer. And so I thought this morning is a good way for me to be able to answer these things for the people that do watch my videos. So it's public record of what I would say, not on the spot, and I guess she kept saying, well, a lot of people feel like anybody has time to think about their answers and what's most appropriate, but what you say on the spot is what you really feel. Except for what I said on the spot, she said, oh wait, cut, stop, are you sure? And then would say something kind of backhanded towards me that made me question. It just caught me off guard. And so no, when she would re-ask the question, that isn't what I said on the spot. That's what I said after you basically told me my answer wasn't good enough. And she was very nice. I mean, I'm not going to attack her character. She doesn't own animals. She doesn't own horses. She's a lover of horses. She is vegan, and she doesn't have children. And so I'm not really sure why you would send somebody who doesn't have children, who is vegan and doesn't own animals, and have them come and do a story on anything that pertains to a family-run business, small town industry. Yes, her motive probably was to try to make me look bad. So I want to answer the questions today like I would have answered them, or like I did answer them the first time whenever she would go, cut, stop, wait, So the first question was, there are people in America who feel like you and Jacob are animal abusers because you make your living off of the backs of animals. How do you feel about this, and what is your viewpoint? My viewpoint is that all people in America are raised with different cultural beliefs, and we're brought up differently. And to me, animals going to slaughter isn't animal abuse. Animal abuse and animal neglect is what happens when you don't have slaughter, because horses and cattle and pigs and any other livestock or farm type animal that you can't bring into your house or bring into your apartment end up in the hands of people who can't afford them. They end up out in pastures not fed. And because of this kill pen, I now see the mass amount of animal abuse across the United States. We get so many neglected horses that are 3 legs in the grave by the time they arrive, and those people should have never owned a horse to begin with, but they did, because horses are cheap, horses are free, people shame people into giving horses away. And so I feel like that's an animal abuser. That's neglect. That is, that's what's wrong in America. And slaughter gives those animals an avenue to go and be, put out of their misery. Their carcasses can be used for something viable instead of just being buried for the worms to eat. And then I said, I don't understand why people are so okay with, a gunshot to the head and bury it, and then the worms eat it, or they just put it out in the woods and the coyotes tear it apart, versus it being killed at a plant and its body being used for viable purposes. Then she said, well, what about the meat being tainted? And I said, I'm just going to be straightforward with you. There is no meat in America that isn't tainted if you want to go that route. I said, most cattle that end up in the feed yard were raised by somebody who had to give them antibiotics or had to give them something at some point during their life. And what ends up happening is those animals end up in the feed yard, but all of the medication and drugs that any of these animals have been given generally have a 30 to 60 day withdrawal period. So by the time they do end up at slaughter from the feed yards in cattle cases, or, to the plant in Mexico in horses cases, the truth is they've had enough withdrawal time that those substances are not present in the meat. So I don't buy that. I don't think that is like a viable point. You're not going to argue with me and tell me that, oh, that horse has had bute. I personally get bute on me all the time. Before I was pregnant, I use a Butte sweat, and I have to, you know, rub it on their legs, and so it has DMSO, which drives the Butte into me. It's never hurt me. In 31 years, Butte, Banamine, dexamethasone, any of those things I've gotten on me, or more than likely ingested into my mouth because I'm not a good hand washer. When I was little, we had a vet, Dr. Crosby, and I just think he's hilarious. I think he's a genuinely amazing person. There was another vet that we used around the Marshall area, a female vet. She was, you know, Marcinda, she was amazing. And I guess I just grew up around them so much, and here they would like not use gloves, and you know, here they would be like castrating colts and then eating lunch. I mean, I'm just not, none of that bothers me. And I've heard people be like, oh God, it fell on the floor, don't eat that. And I'm like, oh, I've had way worse in my mouth. Like, I'm pretty sure I've ingested horse shit like on a daily basis for the last 31 years. I'll be fine. I wasn't born in the barn, but like I was raised there. I'll be fine. And so like these things that I find funny, that are quirky about my personality, like she was just like, and I'm fine with that. I mean, she's from New York. Pale face, hasn't seen sun in a million years, redheaded, you get it. Like, just not a country girl. And in fact, her cameramen were gagging the entire time because of like all of the dust in the air at the pens. Like they were having to take cough drops and blow their nose and hold things over their nut because they just the outdoor environment was too much for this camera crew that they brought. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you send people that are going to have such a biased opinion? And I told him, where are you from? He said, New York. I said, you have a family, right? He said, yeah. And I go, I'm going to tell you, if you know, here's the thing about it. There are people every day that raise their children in a trailer park, you know, here in the South, and you wouldn't raise your kids there, would you? And he said, oh, no, that would not be good enough for my family. You know, absolutely not. Trailer parks aren't even allowed in the city limits from where I'm from. That we don't have that. It's beneath us. He said that. And I said, well, let me explain something to you. I said, you're at a kill pen. And I said, there's nothing wrong with this lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong with what they do here. But this is like a trailer park. I mean, this is just a bunch of pens that have cover. The horses are fed just hay, no grain. And I said, you're from New York where people keep their horses in $2,000 a month boarding facilities. I said, so you walk down, you know, the fake brick shed row with the, you know, $2,000, $3,000 stall fronts, and every horse has a heat lamp and a fan and shavings ankle deep. I said, so you're used to that, and that's what's good enough for you? I said, so you're here, and this is beneath you. And that's fine, except for it doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean that if I was raised in a trailer park, so don't think I'm knocking trailer parks. Until I was 12 years old, no, I was 9. It was in 1995, so I was 9 years old. My dad won the All-American Futurity, and I don't live in a trailer park anymore. And so living in a trailer park was never beneath me. And I'm going to tell you, as a child, we lived in a cul-de-sac, and all the other families had kids, and we played outside together, and all the neighborhood kids got along, and we would play games, and I had a great childhood. I mean, I had the kind of childhood that stories are wrote about, because Hilda and Josh and Michael and Veronica and all of these great children lived right there. Shannon, O'Leary, I mean, all of these kids lived right there on the same cul-de-sac as I did, and we would get out of school and we would all hang out together, and we would have to just be home when the sun set. And so I never knew that growing up in a trailer park or in a trailer house was beneath somebody, because I had a wonderful childhood. And he literally stood right in front of me and he said, no, that would be beneath me. We don't even allow trailer parks where I'm from. It's completely beneath our culture. Like, New York won't even allow you to put a trailer in. Well, that's fine. New York City, Manhattan, the Bronx, they won't allow you to move a trailer house. And he was like, well, you know, after so many years, they dilapidate fast, and, you know, this, and this, and, you know, there are fire hazards. And I mean, just every reason why, if you were raised in a trailer, you're like a bad person and you're beneath him. I mean, it was spelled out in his face and in his reaction, and he was caught off guard scrambling to answer this. And I could tell that by the time he answered it, even he was like, oh shit, I probably just sounded like, you know, a shitty person. Yeah, you did. As he stood there with like his cough drop in and his, you know, mouth covered because there was dirt in the air. I mean, and so those are the kind of people that they send out to our establishment to interview us. And so I grew up in a trailer park, And I had the greatest childhood. And I'll tell you, the first time probably I was 15 years old, and my mom used to always make sure that, like, on Friday and Saturday night, like, you know, I grew up on, like, bologna sandwiches, egg sandwiches. Anybody else ever do, like, the kind of 2 eggs over medium in a sandwich with some good old classic Miracle Whip? I grew up on that. I grew up on, like, hot dogs for dinner. You know, like, I grew up on that. And so my mom used to always make sure that on Friday and Saturday night that we had, especially Friday night, we'd have like a movie, and my mom would like order pizza. But on Saturday night, my mom would cook, and we always had like a little bit better meal. Like my mom would either like cook some little steaks on the broiler, or she would just do something kind of like a little bit better. So I always looked forward to like Friday night. We would get like takeout because we were rich. We got like pizza, you know, and the truth was like, it was like the $5 special pizza. I didn't know. I just knew that it was expensive to eat out. And so like on Friday night, we got to eat out, yo, like, yes, like I was totally loving Friday nights. And then Saturday night, my mom would, you know, make something, like make a really good casserole. I love casseroles. Bacon tomato sandwiches, yes. My breakfast the entire time I was growing up was either rice with sugar sprinkled on it, or the toast with like the butter and the cinnamon and the sugar. It was like French toast, but you know, like the super, like the super easy kind. So my mom always got up, made me breakfast. It would be like an egg and French toast, or an egg and a bowl of rice. So I didn't like have a bougie childhood. I was raised pretty poor. Saying before Jacob so rudely interrupted me, I didn't know by any means that we were poor. Like, I had no clue because my childhood was so great. Can anybody relate to that? Like, looking back on it now, like, you were probably pretty poor by most people's standards, but like, you never knew. Like, my mom worked a job, my dad worked a job, you know, my mom drove a pretty used car, my dad drove like a little Jeep Cherokee type thing. So yeah, like, I didn't know we were poor. And I'll tell you a funny story. Jacob and I were talking about this, and I told him the first time I was probably 15, and we had moved to Oklahoma by now, and we went to Cattleman's. My dad and some of his owners and my mom, we go to the heritage sale, buy yearlings, and like by then we're big time. You know, my dad's won the All-American, and like they have new vehicles, and I think like we've totally made it in life, you know. And I order a filet mignon, and they bring it, and it's like a little tiny steak with bacon around it, which is what I expected. Except for my whole childhood, my mom used to, like on Saturday nights when she really couldn't like afford to buy steaks or something, you know, my mom used to make these little hamburger patties and wrap them in bacon, and she would tell me, oh, we're gonna have filet tonight. So the first time I ordered a real bacon wrapped filet and it came, I was so disappointed because I thought it was going to be like a hamburger patty with bacon wrapped around it. Needless to say, it's like still a story that like I get a kick out of because I love filet now. Like Jacob will tell you, I won't touch a sirloin. I'm a bougie meat eater. We raise our own steer every year, and I tell people, you don't touch the fillets. Like, that's all my meat. You can have the rest of it. I get the fillets. But the funny story with us is, up until I was like 15 years old, I thought a filet was like a hamburger patty with a piece of bacon around it. And I can't tell you how many times as a child, like, I would take the little toothpick out and like go to eat it and like choke on the bacon. I'm not even kidding. So anyway, like, I just grew up thinking that, you know, that we were just normal and that my life was amazing, and my mom never allowed people in our life that judged us. And so I lived like this really amazing childhood. And now today in 2018, I look at the world around me, and I don't know if it's just that I'm an adult. So the life that I live is very blessed, and I'm very thankful. And, you know, we're attacked on so many levels for so many things, and people don't have a clue about my journey or Jacob's journey or where we came from or where we want to go. They just know these little bits and pieces and snippets of our life that they want to judge us based on. And last night I was just so disappointed. That CBS reporter was not interested in getting to have any kind of clue of who any of the Thompsons were, or who I am, or what our viewpoint was. It was to completely villainize us. was awful, you jerk. That was a very jerk move of you. That was super jerkish. I turned my blinker on, and they like sped up to make sure that I couldn't get over. Like, I don't, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. In 2018, I'm like, what is wrong with people? I just look back on my childhood and just remember so much joy. You know? Yeah, and so yesterday, as she left, I even told Jacob, I feel like the questions she would ask, I had valid answers for, but they weren't the answers she was looking for. She wasn't looking for the answers I had. So she would kind of condescendingly, you know, make me feel like maybe my answers weren't good enough, and then she would retape and I would be so bumfuzzled, and I'm never bumfuzzled for words. I will say that the question that was asked regarding this rescue in Covington said that their donations have dropped 80% since you opened Thompson Horse Lot. Do you feel guilty? I don't feel guilty. I don't think that a kill pen and a rescue have the same kind of clientele. First of all, if you're a 501c3 rescue, you can offer tax write-offs. If I could offer tax write-offs, I could gain a lot more support, because there are lots of people in America that need tax write-offs that would be happy to help the animals based on that. So my opinion is, if you're a 501c3 rescue and you can't make your ends meet, you're not doing your job. Don't blame me for your failure. Don't blame Thompson Horse Lot for your failure. Don't go, well, you know what? We can't make our ends meet because of Thompson Horse Lot. You know, all of our customers have gone to the kill pen. Well, what does that say about you? What does that say about you as a person, you as a business, you as an entity, when people would rather go to a kill pen than be loyal to you? Let me tell you, loyalty is priceless in a world full of greed. And I love my tribe, because let me tell you something. My true tribe members, like those of you that are true tribe members, you can see a horse at any other pen in America and you won't buy it, even if it's in your backyard, because you're loyal to me. You're loyal to our tribe, and you are loyal to what we have built as a group. I have customers in Tennessee that buy from me and not from kill pens in Kentucky or Tennessee, because they trust me. They believe me. They know that if they get a horse and they don't like it, they can call me and we will make it right. We will figure out how to make it work. And let me tell you, if you're my customer, Monica can tell you, Monica bought an animal from me 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I think Nikki was here, so a year ago. And she got her home. She just didn't quite work. She called and said, she's wonderful. I don't want her to go to slaughter. I want somebody to take her. Do you have anybody else that was interested, because she's not going to work for me? And I said, yep, I think I know somebody. And she said, okay, we'll be back this weekend. She brought her back on a Saturday, got a horse that worked for her, and she loves her. She calls me all the time. I love this horse. It was perfect. And the one that she brought back, it went to somebody that was a person for it. It was a mule, and she was a little different. You know, she was a little older, and she needed to go to somebody that was like just a mule person, because she was a mule, and she was a chestnut Molly mule. So you get where we're going. And she picked up a little registered mare that had some Western pleasure points, and you know what? All is good. She didn't call me and go, you fucking bitch, you know, I bought this mule and it's a piece of shit. She said, this mule is wonderful, and it's going to be wonderful for somebody. It's unfortunately just not working in my environment, because I have kids and she hates children. Do you know anybody that was interested in her that maybe didn't have kids, because she wants to kind of back her ears and she doesn't like the loud, she just wants a grandma environment? And I said, yep, I think we can find somebody. So she didn't call me and blame me and act like I had done something wrong. She just flat said, this mule isn't working here. She doesn't like kids. She doesn't like loud noises. She's kind of drumpy. You know, she's a drumpy mule. And I just think that she would be perfect for somebody that didn't have like kids and noise and people that, you know, her and her family wanted to brush her and pet her and love her and feed her cookies and pick her feet out, and she was like, get away from me. And that was kind of her personality. Saddle me, ride me, but don't jack with me. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally don't mind that. I'm a busy person, so when we have to go day work or do stuff, a lot of the horses I have are just just kind of those horses. They're the ones that easy to catch, tie them up, saddle them, go. They don't require a lot of extra. But when you have a family, you want that extra. And so she bought a mare that had a little different training, super, super, super nice mare that loved the attention. And it worked out perfect. And so my customers are loyal to me. And she kept saying, but you sell horses to people based on pulling on their heartstrings. And I said, no, ma'am, I don't. I said, my clientele is a completely different type of clientele. I told her, Jacob, he deals with a lot of rescues and groups that will bail groups of horses, but I personally tried to develop Thompson Horse Lot to cater to individuals. I didn't build Thompson Horse Lot to cater to people that are irrational. And she said, so you're saying animal lovers are irrational? No, I'm not saying that animal lovers are irrational. I'm saying I don't want to sell to people that buy based strictly on emotion, because they will end up with horses that they probably shouldn't have bought. And she said, so you're saying people buy horses from you they shouldn't? So everything I said was just very much so manipulated, very much so turned around. Yes, I feel like when you put a ship date on horses and you deal with people who call and go, I have to have that horse, they end up buying a horse that they probably shouldn't buy, and it ends right back up in the kill pen. So I created Thompson Horse Lot's price base, our customer service, everything about our pins. Everything about our pins is based on individual buyers. I'm trying to cater to individuals who want to buy horses from me that are looking for a horse. I want you to be able to see the live video, know as much as you can about it, and end up with a horse that can absolutely fit into your program. You can do the best by it, and it's going to succeed. If I only sold to people that I pulled at their heartstrings, lots of horses end up in situations that they shouldn't. But that wasn't an answer to her. She didn't accept that as an answer. She felt like no. She goes, then why do you even put a ship date on them? And I told her, because they can't stand here indefinitely. I said, if you're a private seller, you can put a horse in your barn, and if you own it 6 months, you own it 6 months. I mean, there's nothing you can do. For us, we're not going to keep them around that long. So, you know what? It has about 2 weeks. I said, if somebody's interested, somebody wants to pay a little down, I don't mind letting it be here a little bit longer, but they can't stand here indefinitely because they eat 100% of the profit up. And she said, so that's what this is about for you. It's only about profit. And I said, ma'am, let me just tell you something. I said, I didn't start this effort and put up with all of the bullshit that this entails, because all I care about is profit. I said, there's a lot of things in America you can do to make profit. I'm very ambitious. I'm educated. I can do a lot of things to make profit. This isn't the only job in America for me. I do this because I feel like the horses deserve a chance, but without making profit, this could not sustain. This couldn't sustain. I mean, we couldn't have a rehoming effort without there being enough profit to cover the overhead. I mean, she just didn't want to hear what I had to say. She wanted me to be a villain. She wanted Jacob to be a villain. He's a big, nasty kill buyer. And I am his little bitch-ass girlfriend, and that's the way she looked at us. And I can tell that, and I'm okay with that. I'm not upset that she looked at me that way. I just am upset that no matter what I said, it was not to her standards. Therefore, it... Cut. Are you sure you want to say that? Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So she told Jacob, can you please bring a horse up here that you personally own? And you don't have a stop sign. You don't have a stop sign. You don't have a stop sign. That's how I feel. So, you know, like Jacob brought Banker out there and he goes, well, he has sell barn tags on him. And Jacob goes, yeah, that's right, he does. And she goes, so are you going to slaughter him? And Jacob said, no, you know, this is a ranch gelding that we bought at the sale. When we got in here, we really liked him. I mean, I have him for sale if somebody wants to buy him, great. If not, we use him. And she said, well, can you show us some of your race horses? So Jacob went and got them a mare that we bought out of the sale barn. She's made $300,000. And then all she wanted to know is who took it to the sale barn and who's responsible for this and who should we go after for this horse ending up in your hands. And here the bitch is standing there, fat, fleshy, in full to a $4,500 stud fee. She's in no way in danger, and she just kept saying, like, who can we blame for her ending up in your hands? You don't blame anybody. The bitch has it fucking made. She lives the cake life. Like, did you see her? And I told her that. I was like, that's not a fair statement. I said, that mare looks amazing. And she goes, well, if you've made $300,000, don't you think you deserve a stall? You think that bitch wants to live her fucking life in a stall? She's a horse. She's a fucking horse. That bitch is so happy to be out of a stall and to be out of race training and just being to where she can just be. She made $330,000. Let her be. Let her just be. Let her be a horse. Oh, I went. Oops. My doctor's office that I go to for the baby is like down a street that is always like one ways, and they're little, and I can never find parking, and I mean, it is so packed. Go ahead, ma'am. And I can never find parking, and then you have to walk like 20 fucking blocks to get to the damn doctor's office, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, I just want to park and go in. Okay, so we got to go make sure that this little beast is a girl, because as of last week's appointment, she was pretty sure it was a girl. She wasn't 1,000% sure it was a girl. So we're gonna go in. We're gonna do the thing with the belly. We're gonna see if she'll fight the Doppler again. I'm positive it's a girl. Jacob is ecstatic that it's a girl. And then she was like, you're just not as far along as we originally thought, and I just want you to come back because within a week this middle line can raise, and it's a boy. And I'm like, Jacob and I thought it was a boy at first, so we were like, it's a boy. When she said it was a girl, we were like, I mean, Jacob was like, I just love my girls, and now she's like, it might not be a girl, you need to come back. And I'm like, ugh. So she's like, I'll do another sonogram for free. And I'm like, no, like, if you'll let me come every week to hear the heartbeat and to see the baby, I'll pay. Like, I just want to see my baby every week. Every single week. But anyway, the next time I come after this one will be the sonogram to make sure for, like, spina bifida and Down syndrome and all of those things. And they made me fill out all this paperwork that, like, if my baby had any of these things, I was like, you keep it. You keep it. And they're like, well, you know, you have options. And I'm like, no, not with a baby. You don't have options. So I'm going in.